Hey everyone, it's Denise Salcedo. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling on a Wednesday morning. Kind of new. As you guys all know, today I am recapping the August 10th edition of WWE NXT. Last night I was unable to recap the show because I was at the blue carpet event for the new series Heels that's premiering on Stars on August 15th. So it was a really fun night, but obviously I can't be at two places at once. But today I woke up super early, watched NXT, and now I'm ready to go and talk about today's show. And before we get on to NXT, I do want to let you guys all know that today I technically have two streams on here because I'm doing last night's NXT right now. And then later on, I have AEW Dynamite in my normal time slot. Also, for those of you who do not know, this was only a one-time thing. Next week, I will be back at my normal time slot for NXT. This is kind of a crazy week because today, again, I had like a random time slot for everything, but then I have Wednesday night Dynamite, but then also on Friday we officially have the premiere of Rampage, so I'm going to be covering both Smackdown and Rampage on Friday, so that's going to be new as well. So there is literally going to be so much going on. And again, before we get to the show, I do want to address a couple of things that some people are pointing out because it's been a wild week. Zach Monday says, great work at GCW. So the last time you guys saw me on here was on Friday talking about SmackDown, and this past weekend on Saturday, I got to make my GCW debut, and it was such an amazing experience, guys. As you all know, I mentioned here before that I have done ring announcing work before. However, I hadn't done any ring announcing since the COVID lockdown. So this was my first event back. I was so nervous because I thought I kind of was a little bit rusty. But once I got out there, I feel that my natural instincts definitely kicked in and I had a blast ring announcing. So I'm very thankful to everybody at GCW who was like nice to me, welcomed me, and also like gave me this opportunity. And then I got to get a bomb like picture with Nick Gage, which was really cool as well. So there was just so much going on. And then last night, which I got an interview with Christopher Daniels. That's going to go up in probably like the next like 2 hours or so. I also got to interview Stephen Amell last night, everybody. I've never interviewed Stephen Amell before. I was a big fan of his work on Arrow. And so to be able to get to chat with him last night was pretty cool. Although they only gave me one question. For those of you who have never done a red carpet before, you don't get like a full like 5-minute conversation. Sometimes you're lucky if you even get a question, period. So I got one question and then I turned it into two questions. So that'll come up in like the next hour or so as well. But anyways, this is very exciting, guys, because since today I am on at a different time, we are getting different viewers that don't normally get to tune in because of the time zones. So if you are new, welcome to the live version of my channel. So here we go, guys. We're going to jump into NXT because there has been, NXT has been the talk of the town right now, and not necessarily for good things per se. We spoke about this on my Friday post show. We were talking about the WWE releases. We've been talking about the fact that, there's been these reports of this new direction and these changes being made to the NXT product. Now, it's clear that these changes aren't going to be made overnight, but rather throughout a period of time. And so now we're starting to kind of see a little bit of those changes, not so much right now, but again, just a tiny, tiny bit if you really want to count the changes that you saw on this version of NXT. Also, last week's NXT on Sci-Fi was probably the least entertaining episode that we had. So today yesterday we're back on the USA Network, and I'm just glad that last night's show was pretty darn good. I enjoyed top to bottom, except for that main event finish, which we'll get to, but I enjoyed pretty much the entire episode of NXT. I thought they did a good job at promoting NXT TakeOver 36, at, obviously making several matches for that card. So I'm happy that they at least got that going. And I hope that when they do make these changes on NXT, that they are for the better, I guess. I hope they are for the better, because I do not want to see NXT not be a must-watch brand. But here we go. We got our first super chat of the evening. And this one is from JJ, the Distraction, head of PR and #1 fan, says, Hunter is losing his mind. We were NXT sad times. Well, obviously, Dave did report on Wrestling Observer Radio that it was Shawn Michaels and Triple H did not have any say in the releases. Like, this was literally, Vince and Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis that were the ones that were making these decisions. So I actually feel bad for Triple H because, this is like his baby, like NXT is his baby. And for the most part, like NXT used to be that really cool brand that everybody was a fan of. And, it was cool to be an NXT fan, and they've lost a lot of that. And I feel really, really bad about that. And someone points out that there are no mods on this chat. I don't think we have any mods. I moderate the chat myself, guys. So for the most part, have some fun, but not too much fun on this chat. And we got a lot of stuff going on here. We got a super chat, a comment from Taylor who says, TakeOver is being prompted better than SummerSlam, it seems. You know what? I would say they're sort of on par. There's more matches that I'm looking forward to on TakeOver. I kind of feel like right now they're on par with one another. So maybe I'm even a little bit too hyping up TakeOver just a little bit too much. I would say for the most part, I'm equally excited about both shows. Obviously more so SummerSlam because I will be there and because it's, they've been hyping up this show for the most part. All right, guys, but let's get to it. Let's talk about NXT and what the hell went down on this show. Again, a pretty good episode of NXT. We will be recapping everything in chronological format. So if you are here, make sure to take part in the chat, send in those comments, and I will be reading everybody's, or mostly everybody's, thoughts on what they thought about the show. So here we go. One of the storylines that people have been loving, or at least enjoying on the NXT brand, is everything that we've been seeing with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. That seems to be like one of the storylines that people seem to be invested in. It's a storyline that I'm invested in. I'm excited for Dakota Kai. I like what they're doing with her so far. And last time that we were talking about NXT last week, it kind of seemed to me that everybody on the chat was kind of hoping that Dakota Kai ends up becoming NXT Women's Champion. So she opens up the show, and all she really gets to say is that she wants to be the new NXT Women's Champion. Now, prior to NXT yesterday, the match that was being promoted was Ember Moon versus Sarray. However, Ember Moon was unable to compete because she was not medically cleared by the NXT medical staff. She sent out a tweet saying, "This has been an extremely rough month. I'm angry and gutted. I was really looking forward to this match and getting back on track, but just got another pothole in the road. I'm sorry." Now, I haven't seen any other details of what's going on with Ember Moon. I don't know if I missed any other details, but I have not seen what is going on there. But either way, I'm kind of glad that this ended up being Dakota Kai versus Sarray. And the reason for that is Dakota Kai is heading into this big match with Raquel. And we all know that the reason why that she's having this match is because the story is there. These are, two friends that one turned on the other, one wants what the other has, and they're no longer friends. It's a very simple story that we're being told here. However, if you go back and you look at Dakota Kai's and I know wins and losses don't matter in WWE, I get that. But if you go back and you look at what Dakota Kai's record has been on NXT, it's not necessarily that great. Given the fact that she's in this championship match with Raquel at TakeOver, you expect her to have more of a competitive winning streak where she's getting these wins, but she hasn't even gotten that very many wins in the singles matches whatsoever. Her record necessarily isn't that great. Now, if you look at Sarray's record's actually pretty good. She's won her last 5 matches, okay? So for Dakota Kai to be in this match with Sarray and get a win from Sarray actually kind of adds to Dakota Kai, especially heading into this, heading into this match with Raquel Gonzalez. So I was, for one, happy that they actually gave this match to Dakota Kai because she should have been racking up them wins a long time ago. Let's see what we got here, guys. So before we get to the actual match and everything that went down, make sure you guys send out your thoughts on all of this. But here we go. So I mentioned the fact that I'm glad that she got this match because it really kind of helps her out heading into this match. But the match itself was a pretty good one, guys. I'm not going to lie. I feel like this is probably, in recent memory, one of the best singles matches that they've had Dakota Kai in kind of a while. I can't really remember the last one where I was like, oh yeah, like this is really good stuff here. This one felt legit. Like I really liked the way that we saw Sarray work with Dakota. They had a really nice balance with one another. Sarray was locking her in, these different submissions. Dakota was exciting. And I kind of felt like this win actually meant something because Sarray's record is good and because the match itself was good. We saw Sarray hit her with a couple of German suplexes, but Dakota just kept on hanging in there. They gave Sarray a lot of offense during this. We saw Dakota hit her with a foot in the face. She went for the pin, but ended up getting the 2 count. As this match was continuing on, they showed a behind-the-scenes video of Raquel arriving to the CWC, and so Dakota obviously did not know that. And I'm thinking, all right, this is clearly going to play into the match, but in what way? So post-match, we do end up seeing Dakota Kai win, but post-match, Raquel tries to attack her, and she ends up accepting her challenge at TakeOver, and she basically says that she's going to tear Dakota Kai apart. But based on crowd reactions, based on the chat from last week, I really kind of feel like, even though I still think there's a lot that can be done with Raquel as champion, I kind of want to see Dakota Kai win the championship. But either way, what did you guys think of Dakota Kai, Sarray here tonight? What do you think about the direction in which we're heading in with Raquel and Dakota Kai? Do you want to see Dakota Kai come out as NXT Women's Champion on TakeOver? Go ahead and let me know, guys. Here we go. We got a super chat from Brandon Charles Powell who says, also, we need to wash the taste out of our mouth of that Dakota lost to Ilja on main event. Glad she got the win. Brandon, my friend, why did you remind me? Why? I saw that and I was like, oh no, come on. One of the things, again, last week's episode of NXT was not that great. And it kind of felt like we were reaching, trying to find things that we were like, that we were a fan of, essentially. And the number one thing people wanted to talk about on last week's show was Dakota Kai. And Dakota Kai's promo and that vignette that they showed on NXT. And then you have her lose to Ilja on main event. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I get it. Not a lot of people, main event is obviously not on their radar. I get all of that, okay? I do not watch main event and I cover pretty much every single wrestling show. I don't have time for main event. I don't care about main event. But at the same time, like, that just looks bad, especially heading into this match, this big match at TakeOver. And especially the fact that Dakota Kai, again, her record's not anything to be like amazed by. So it does kind of, you got to separate both. You got to separate the worlds. If I've learned anything from the last couple of weeks of television, is we got to separate NXT from Raw, from Smackdown, from main event, from whatever else. But thank you so much to Brandon for sending in this super chat here. Let's see what we got here. And this is the comment from David Leary, who believes that Dakota is being called up to the main roster. Dude, Dakota Kai was somebody that when they called up Shotzi and they called up Tegan Nox and when they called up Toni Storm, I thought to myself, like, man, if I'm, the person making decisions on who gets called up, I feel that based on what Dakota Kai has been doing, because again, her record hasn't been great, but at the same time, every time she's in a match, she tends to be the standout in the matches that she's in. She's really come about and become her own person. You've seen this new level of confidence presented presented, that she brings to the table. So I would say go with Dakota Kai. She seems like a very good option. And I think she's also the type of female wrestler that can have a lot of really good matches with a lot of the different women on the roster. And immediately I thought that Dakota Kai should have been called up. But guys, I almost don't even want to assume that people are going to get called up anymore, because as you all know, Bronson Reed, somebody who was just really recently was NXT North American champion, loses to Isaiah Swerve Scott. And then we're all thinking, oh, it's a sure thing. He's going to Raw. He's going to SmackDown. He's going to be a main roster star. And then all of a sudden he's fired from the company. So it's kind of like, I almost don't want to assume anymore that people are going to head on over to the main roster, because it kind of seems like right now with, again, there's changes being made, nothing really feels like a sure thing. And it almost doesn't even matter if you're in a storyline or not in a storyline. So let's see what else we got here. We got a comment from Knowledge Divine Allah, who says, I wouldn't mind Dakota beating Raquel. I'm interested in finally seeing her at the top of the mountain as a heel world champion. And she's a heel, but I think a lot of people are reacting to Dakota a little bit more as a face here. And SD Jones says, one thing I'll give them, TakeOver is not a predictable card. I feel like for the most part, a lot of the matches, predictable in the sense that we know which direction that they're heading in. To me, it does kind of feel a little bit like a predictable card, but I'm okay with that. That does not bother me. I'm just here for good wrestling and good storytelling. We got a comment from Keith Duran, who says, hope Dakota wins the NXT championship, but if she's going to the main roster, I don't see WWE putting the title on her. It really is as simple as that. Palmy Wrestling says, I'm happy Dakota Kai got a clean win over Sarray, but after that main event loss to Ilja, I fear she'll lose at TakeOver and move on to obscurity on the main roster. I hope not that she doesn't move on to obscurity on the main roster, because unlike the men and the women's, roster, I do feel like there are a little bit more spots for the women, because there really isn't that many options, especially in terms of the type of workers that you might want to face your champions. We don't really have a lot of those options. And so with that being said, Dakota Kai would be a great fit. And again, she can have those matches. And someone's asking if we even have the direction, if we even know the direction anymore. In terms of the NXT product as a whole, I would say no. But then at the same time, it's like, based on tonight's episode, it was good. It is what it is. We got a comment from Adam Pearson, who says, the transitional phase between NXT and the main roster needs a great deal of improvement. People like Keith Lee arrive on the main roster, are hot for a second, and then nothing left to fade into nothing. That's been a very strong, I would say that's been a very strong argument. And the reason for that is that, NXT, we had NXT essentially supposed to be a developmental. And then for a period in time, they were like, oh no, this is like equal to Raw and SmackDown. This is supposed to be on par with Raw and SmackDown. But then it was never really presented that way. And now, everything that happened, everything that went down with the Wednesday Night Wars, it kind of seems to me like it's like, no, now they really are a developmental. But before that, I didn't really feel like they were wanting us to see it as a developmental. I recall several different talents doing interviews and saying like, no, like we're essentially on par with the main roster. Like everybody's always constantly worried about us moving up or, moving up to the main roster where, we're out here killing it on NXT. And I kind of felt bad because we all knew that NXT was not being presented as on the same level as Raw or SmackDown. And so there is this weird, like, what exactly are we supposed to see it as? Because I feel like for different periods in time, they've been telling us to view it in different ways. And so it is a little bit of a struggle, I would say, to kind of really gauge where NXT is at. And to me right now, it's just a developmental. Like that's the way I see it. I never, unfortunately, saw it on par with Raw or SmackDown. And that was like no shot to like the in-ring work, because we all know that the NXT in-ring work is probably some of the most entertaining stuff that we see on WWE television. But again, it just wasn't presented that way. Alrighty, guys. So let's see what else we got here. This is a comment from Joseph, who says, I think they need to start touring again. NXT not having NXT Florida house shows has hurt NXT. NXT Florida was a place where they could try out talent before TV. Now it gets them on TV. Let's see what else we got here. We just got so many different comments. Everybody seems to be like, this is like the general consensus that I'm gauging from people. Like, people want to watch an NXT episode, NXT product that is entertaining, that has that like in-ring caliber work rate, but also includes, these interesting storylines. Like, I want to see and discover new stars. Like, I want to, fall in love with this new wrestler because I'm so excited about how they work in the ring, and they gave this person some depth to their character. That's what I care about, and we don't always get that. However, there were a little couple of shades of that here on today's show. This is a comment from Mr. Jekyll 116 who says, I hate that I don't care about call-ups anymore. Yeah, usually it used to be this thing where it's like, oh, is this person going to get called up? When are we going to see this person get called up? And it used to be this cool thing. Now I would say it's more of like, oh, that's not going to go well, or what are they going to do with this guy? It's definitely a different mentality, I would say, that people are having here. Matthew McCoskey points out that AEW has had 4 weeks in a row with hitting the 1 million mark. Yes, they have. And man, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But let's go ahead and continue on with NXT, because again, we have kind of a lot to talk about here. So let's get into this storyline, and I am curious to see how everybody here feels about this. So we got Index. Yes, we're heading with Index. Last week, we had the love her or lose her match, which technically Dexter Lumis lost her because he lost the match. But I guess we're ignoring that and we're moving forward with the Index storyline regardless. So make of that what you will. It kind of feels very, very contradicting, because on the exact same show, you have Cameron Grimes, who essentially became LA Knight's butler, and he's honoring his end of the bargain. He screwed himself. Now he's essentially LA Knight's butler. Okay. And then on the exact same show, you have them doing the exact opposite of what was supposed to happen if Dexter Lumis lost this match. So it is a little bit contradicting to have these two same storylines and the way that they're developing on the same roster. But regardless, I kind of am digging a little bit of what they've done with Index. I've said this before, and today I liked what they did with Index. You know what? I thought it was funny. It was okay. I laughed. We had Dexter Lumis essentially pick up Indy Hartwell because they're going to go on a date, and Indy's doing her makeup, and it's very not believable because her makeup's already done and she's barely touching her face. And I'm like, all right, girl, that's not how you really do makeup. But anyways, so she's very happy that she's going on this date. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae, they're kind of having this meeting where they're thinking like, okay, let's give him a chance, whatever. We're going to have to make it work, etc. But at the same time, they're not going to be completely honest about it. They're not just going to go and let them be happy. They're obviously going to continue to get involved. So Dexter comes, he picks up Indy Hartwell, and he has this like dad moment with Johnny Gargano, because Johnny Gargano is sort of like, I guess you can say, quote unquote, the father here. And he is giving him, the stare down. They're both staring at one another. And Johnny Gargano asks him, what are his intentions with Indy Hartwell? And he doesn't say anything whatsoever. Then he tells him, all right, I want you to have her back at 10 p.m., take her to a nice restaurant, and that's it. All right. So she comes, they leave. They go on their date. That's pretty much the end of that. But then we come back because we got 2 more vignettes after this. So they're on their date. So what happened here is that Johnny Gargano has a GPS on Indy Hartwell, so he is able to track where they are going. So they end up following them out to this restaurant. Indy Hartwell is talking Dexter Lumis's ear off, and it kind of seems to me like I'm guessing that Dexter Lumis down the road is probably going to break up with Indy Hartwell because she talks way too much. That's the direction that I feel that they are heading in with this story. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what it feels like. But they're at this restaurant. She's ordering a bunch of food. She's really happy that they ordered chicken nuggets or chicken strips or whatever. She hears a walkie-talkie and discovers that Candice and Johnny Gargano are stalking them on their date. So she goes out there. She calls them out, and she's pissed about it. They come back for another vignette. They're ordering dessert. and Johnny Gargano pretends to be the waiter. Now, I don't know if he was pretending to be Italian or French or what he was trying to pretend to be, but he was pretending to be the waiter. And they end up fighting for the cake, Johnny Gargano and Indy. And while they're going sort of back and forth, Johnny Gargano ends up throwing the cake onto Dexter Lumis's face. This scene essentially closes out with Indy Hartwell eating dessert off of his face. And my favorite part of this whole thing was the return scene when Wade Barrett is looking into the camera and he just has this very disgusted look on his face, like, I can't get into this. Like, this is X-rated stuff and I'm no longer into it. So honestly, based on a lot of what they've been doing, I actually thought that this was a win. I liked all of these segments, so it was what it was. Index could be a real huge miss, but might as well have fun with it. And it seems to be like what they're doing. But we got a lot of people here that are kind of liking what we're seeing here. So let's see. We got a comment from Mary who says that segment with Johnny and Dexter was hilarious. Josh Bowen says this all sounds hilarious. David Leary says Johnny is a riot. There was a moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm so fed up with the way, I'm so fed up with everything they're doing. However, I feel as we've moved forward, with it, there have been weeks where I'm like, you know what? Okay, that was funny. I like the fact that they're at least trying to incorporate something new into the show. So I appreciate it. All right, we got a comment from Lenny Banner. I love that Lenny always puts in very in-depth thoughts, but let's see what Lenny has to say about this. He says, quote, "This index stuff is a huge part of the reason why next to none of this stuff really matters in the grand scheme. Dexter lost the match, yet he still gets the girl, ? If the end game is meant to be Johnny and Candice against Indy and Dexter, then Dexter should have won last week. Stuff like this insults the intelligence of the viewer when you have stipulations that aren't stuck to, and there's no reason given why it's being ignored." 100%, Lenny. Kick me out of this chair, host this show, because you kind of got it all here. And that is the truth. And that's why I brought up the point that when you have Cameron Grimes, again, fulfilling his duties as the butler, and then you have Dexter Lumis ignoring the fact that he's technically done and gone. He's not supposed to be with the girl anymore. They might as well, if they were going to continue this, and we all knew they were going to continue the index storyline, why not have them win? That's it. But it does really insult the intelligence of the fans. And when they keep doing stuff like this, it's kind of like, well, why are you going to care about a future stipulation if at the end of the day, they can just do whatever they want? So I do agree with Lenny on this comment, but again, I like the vignettes. I might as well take it for what it is here. Francis R says Dexter's first words will be, "You talk too much." Probably. We actually have a super chat from Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury. Thank you so much to Flamethrower, who says, "I hope one day that they release outtakes with Dexter breaking character." I wonder, I feel like, usually you see these outtakes of like actors and bloopers and stuff, but that's usually because they have lines and sometimes they flub those lines. Dexter Lumis shouldn't be having bloopers. He has no lines. He just sits there. He shouldn't have any lines. But obviously you never know if probably Indy messes up or something. I would like to see those outtakes as well. Thank you so much to Flamethrower for sending in this super chat here. And let's see what else we got. We got so many comments about this. I'm actually a little bit surprised at this. I didn't know how many people were going to be interested in this story. Sticker Reds 202 says Johnny posted a Twitter pic of himself in the waiter disguise. That might be my new phone lock screen. I did not see it. Sam3 says it was a Disney Channel date. Wade Barrett is soft. You never want to see anybody eat dessert off of anybody else's face. So I get it. But in terms of it being like PG-13, it definitely was PG-13. It was definitely not X-rated whatsoever. Sam3 says Dexter acting, extreme stare, and nothing else. That really is it. Really. Let's see what else we got here. We got so many different stuff. We got a super chat from Matthew Makovsky, who says, Dexter not laughing was the best. I was aloe-owing. Okay. The one thing that I am liking about Dexter is that he's kind of like, he went from being like a creep like this creepster, right? And he still is a creep. He has this very creepy look, this very creepy stare. Obviously, it works. But now I'm starting to feel like, okay, are they going to shift over to him just being like this really cool, chill, relaxed person? Because that's kind of how it seems. Like he's out there and, you know, he literally got cake thrown in his face and he has absolutely zero reaction. He's just there. So I'm wondering when we're going to start to see a shift in his character, because at some point it's going to have to happen. Him and the creepy look is only going to last so long. And I'm sure there are already plenty of people that are like, all right, dude, what else? What else? So we'll see what happens there. Thank you so much to Matthew McCoskey for sending in this super chat. We got a question from SD Jones who says, does Indy also become a serial killer or does Dexter become normal guy? Well, now that you bring that up, okay, if you remember the TV series You, I don't want to spoil anything, but for those of you who've watched the TV series You, season 2, there might be something to that. But I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't seen the show. All right, we got a comment from Pyro Mash who says, yeah, that pic was pretty good. I laughed every time I looked at it. Dang, I did not see it. I did not see the picture that Johnny Gargano shared. But then again, I watched NXT today at 7 a.m. Comment from Josh Bowen who says, I love the Index storyline. It's entertaining and all performers in the storyline are amazing. There you go. The Index storyline does seem to be getting over with people. So that's a good point to take out of that. Alrighty, guys. So let's jump into this next segment. We had Hit Row. This was a pretty good promo. It was very simple. Very great visual. You had Hit Row essentially inside of what looked to be some sort of, not like a dungeon, but they were like in some like confined place. I don't know what you want to call it, but they're setting a fire. And basically Isaiah Surf Scott is telling Santos Escobar, you disrespected me, you disrespected us, you disrespected our culture when you took off my grills. And he said, well, I'm going to disrespect you now. And he ends up getting the Mask of Solar and he puts it into the fire bin and sets it on fire. I thought this was a very clever thing because obviously he's trying to attack, the meaning of, what it means to wear a lucha mask. However, I did think it would have been a little bit better had they actually just put an Hijo de Fantasma mask into the actual trash bin. I thought that would have maybe that one minor little tweak would have meant a little bit more in the storyline. And obviously maybe a lot of people wouldn't have gotten it, but for those like people that would know, I think that would have been pretty clever. But either way, it was perfectly fine. I liked it. And Sticker Red says it looked like they were inside a shipping container. I think so too. It did kind of look a little. Sam 3 says it looked like they were in a U-Haul truck burning a barrel. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it was, guys. All right, guys, let's jump into the next portion of this. And don't mind me, guys. I forgot to turn on my AC again. Or I think I turned it on, but I think I put oh my gosh, I put on the heat like too much, or it's like at 75, but it's incredibly hot in here and I really need to take this thing off. But anyways, I'm going to continue on with the show while I struggle to take this necklace off because there you go. All right, ignore all of that. Ilja Dragunov is on NXT and oh my God, guys. All right, so we're going to get to the main event afterwards, but I want to kick off with this promo that we had here and how this match between him and Pete Dunne ended up happening. So Ilja Dragunov essentially comes out and, he's headed into this big match with Walter at TakeOver. And for the most part, people are excited about that match, okay? We all know what a banger they had last time, and we all kind of want to see, this part 2 of that, and hopefully it's even better. We'll see. We don't know. But he comes out and he starts talking about the struggle, the pain, how it all means something to him, the fighting spirit, how it all means something to him. He then says that he's put all of his strength into his fist, and it's a pretty good promo for the most part. Then Pete Dunne comes out out, and he basically tells him, like, dude, you owe me a big thank you. You owe me a thank you for putting NXT UK on the map. He starts to tell him, like, you don't deserve all of these things that you're getting right now. You don't deserve this match with Walter. You don't deserve to be on TakeOver, and you do not deserve to be in the ring with me. And he tells him, if I would have stayed in NXT UK, I would have put you in your place a long time ago. And so Ilja Dragunov, he points out that Pete Dunne has never defeated Walter, and then he challenges Pete Dunne to a match, and Pete Dunne says, all right, but you're not going to make it to TakeOver. And I'm thinking, all right, cool, like, they're going to have a match, it's going to be great, this is awesome, good way to, boost up Ilja Dragunov before heading into this match with TakeOver. All right, cool. Remember that, guys. Remember that once we get to the main event, which I'll talk about later on. Let's jump into LA Knight, Cameron Grimes, and everything that they're doing. We had a very quick squash match between LA Knight and Andre Chase. So Knight says, first of all, Knight does an interview with Mackenzie backstage, and Mackenzie essentially asks him, like, why did you leave? Why did you leave Grimes hanging during your tag team match last week? And he basically says, first and foremost, he has a name, and his name is the Butler. So he doesn't want Mackenzie to address Cameron Grimes as Cameron Grimes, but rather the Butler. I thought that was pretty funny. So good stuff there. Then he says that he didn't leave him hanging, that Cameron Grimes is just a failure. So we move on from that. We get into this match with Andre Chase. It's a squash match. Nothing of note really happens here. LA Knight wins. There was a line, though, where Stu Bennett, where he says, there's nothing greater in the world than owning your own butler. And I'm thinking to myself, out of every single line in the world, that is the one that he came up with. But that's what it was. Again, there really wasn't anything to talk about this, but afterwards we have Ted DiBiase. He tells Cameron Grimes, like, dude, I know that you're a man of your word. I get that, and you're honoring your debt, but you could be doing so much more than being a butler. And DiBiase pisses off LA Knight by saying this. So LA Knight, starts running his mouth. Ted DiBiase basically tells them to shut up, so then Knight starts talking about the fact that there might be this rematch between him and Grimes. And Knight starts basically saying, like, I do not need to have this rematch with Cameron Grimes because I've already defeated him twice. And you know what? I have to agree with LA Knight here. He has already defeated Cameron Grimes twice. He shouldn't have to have another rematch. But either way, this is where they're going with this. We're going to have a rematch at TakeOver. However, the stipulation is actually pretty interesting. So for the most part, you already have Cameron Grimes as the butler. But heading into TakeOver, LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. If Cameron Grimes wins this match, he no longer has to be the butler. But if he loses, Ted DiBiase will now be LA Knight's butler. So I thought that was a pretty good stipulation. Again, if we're going to have to see this match again, which we all knew it was going to happen because that's pretty much the story. So for the most part, I thought this was fine. I like the way that I like what they're doing with LA Knight here. I like what they're doing with Cameron Grimes here. They're finally finding a place for Ted DiBiase in all of this. So it's fine. What did you guys think of this? We actually have a major super chat. Thank you so much to Lou Leon for this big super chat. Thank you so much. Lou says, hey, you're finally live when I'm awake. Thanks for all the show recaps and the time you saved me by not needing to watch everything. I appreciate you for sending in this massive super chat. It's, here's the thing about like going on at a different time is that obviously a lot of people watch my show on replay. And so not everybody gets to tune into the live version of these. So it's very fun to kind of see, meet some of the people through chat, meet some of the people that maybe watch the show on replay. So thank you so much to Lou for sending in the super chat, and I thank you. And it's kind of funny. I don't know if it's funny, but a lot of people are like thanking me for watching the shows that they don't really want to watch, which is kind of not a good thing for like the WWE product side of things. Like I get that a lot with Raw, where people are like, thank you for watching Raw for all of us. And I'm just like, oh man, like it's wild. But anyways, thank you so much to Lou for sending in this super chat. All right, guys, let's get these thoughts in because we're getting so much here. We got a comment from M. Durrett who says, they have kept this feud pretty entertaining. Grimes, LA Knight, DiBiase have all been great in their roles. Exactly. People have been enjoying the vignettes. Really does absolutely no harm whatsoever. And to be honest, what else are they going to do with LA Knight right now? Him having the $1 million championship is the best thing that they could have done with him, because I've been saying this from the beginning. He's somebody that belongs more on the main roster because of that personality versus NXT. Because he just doesn't have, that type of work rate there. And alrighty, let's see what else we got here. We got so many comments. This one is from Mary, who says, now that Tyler Russ has been let go, what does this mean for Diamond Mine? And does that mean the faction is over before it started? It does kind of mean that it's over before it started. I mean, they're promoting that match with Roderick Strong and Kushida for next week, and they're still calling it the Diamond Mine. I do not know how they're going to explain that the other person, Tyler Rust, is no longer part of Diamond Mine. Are they going to address it? If so, how are they going to do it? They're going to have to do it next week when we see this match and, and he comes out and you don't see Tyler Rust. People are going to be like, well, what happened? Where's the other guy at? They're going to have to address it. I don't know what they're going to say, and I don't even know what they should say. What's a good answer? I don't know. Oh my God. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on. We do have a comment from Elliot who says she wants Cameron Grimes to win, but I also like the possibility of Ted being the butler. I want to see Ted DiBiase be the butler. I'm kind of okay with that, but you can't have Grimes lose 3 times to LA Knight. Come on. Like, that's a little too much, but I don't know. Are they going to keep the storyline going? And if so, they could keep it going that way with Ted DiBiase becoming the butler. But then it's like, all right, what do you do next? You have Cameron Grimes go for it a 4th time to save him? I don't know. All right. Thank you so much to Elliot for also sending in this comment. King Master says they won't even mention it next week. Francis says they're not going to address it. Matthew Makovsky says, I bet you $100 they won't even mention it or kayfabe it. And yeah, I kind of feel that they're just going to come out, they're going to do the match, and there's going to be no mention whatsoever of what the hell happened to Tyler Rust, which is kind of sad. It is sad. We'll see. We'll talk about that next week when it actually goes down. Alrighty, guys, before we move on, first of all, thank you guys so much for being on here for this portion of the show during this time slot for this week only. Next week, I will be back at the normal time slot doing my post shows immediately following NXT. Although I will say this, I watched NXT today in 1 hour and like 10 minutes. So it was so easy. Just fast forward all the commercials. I even fast forwarded some of the entrances, and I got through NXT so fast. It was a breeze to watch, obviously not live. So that was a positive. But anyways, here we go, guys. Let's jump into Gigi Dolin, because Gigi Dolin, we've seen her on NXT several times now, but tonight's show kind of felt like, well, it felt like this was really her I don't want to say official debut, but the focus was really about her today. So it kind of feels like this should have been her debut, but given that we've already seen her before, it's not her official debut. So call it what you want. But anyways, so she comes out, she does this before she comes out to the ring for her match. They do this this promo for her, this very nice promo. I was a fan of it. So you have Gigi Dolin basically saying that she's never going to be satisfied, that she's just not that kind of person. She's cutting these black roses. She teases that she's going to run through all the women on the division, but that she's not going to do it alone, that she's not going to do this alone. So I'm thinking, all right, we had Gigi Dolin, we had Mandy Rose come out and watch Gigi Dolin's match. We had Mandy Rose and Gigi Dolin backstage talking at one point. So I'm thinking, okay, Mandy Rose is probably going to be managing Gigi. But then Gigi comes out and she only comes out with JC Jane. So I'm thinking, all right, are we still going to do this thing with Mandy Rose? Like, that really has never been fully explained. But then after the match, they announced that Mandy Rose shared a tweet in which she is talking about the advice that she gave Gigi Dolin. So now it seems to me that Mandy Rose may just be behind the fact that Gigi Dolin won this match. Maybe she's now managing Gigi and JC Jane. I have no idea. I don't know why Mandy Rose wasn't on the show. They could have easily explain that tonight. I don't know why they're taking so long to explain this. It kind of feels to me like they're not completely sure about this, but they're still laying it in. Anyways, really quick win for Gigi Dolin here against Amari Miller. She won with the Cobra Twist Bomb. Nice win. Okay match. Good win. She has a character now. She has a purpose now on the show. I'm a fan of it. Cool. All right. What did you guys think of Gigi Dolin's debut here? Oh, that's clever. M. Durrett, I didn't even get this. He says the roses are for Mandy. That actually could be clever. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, cool. And let's see what else we got here. Somebody's asking the same thing. Is Mandy the manager for Gigi and Jane? I'm assuming she's gonna be. I don't know when they're gonna make this an official announcement, but they wouldn't have mentioned that tweet and they wouldn't have had all those interactions if that wasn't the direction that they were heading in. And Sean Harrington points out that Gigi won because of that sick finish. Yeah, that was something that like everybody was putting over. It looks fantastic. Good stuff for her. That was a really nice way for her to, essentially put an exclamation point on this relatively nothing match, but a nice ending to the match itself. Brandon says if Mandy would just come out and explain, we wouldn't have so many questions. I don't get why they're prolonging it. Like, are we supposed to be shocked when she comes out and she's the manager? I'm not going to be shocked. I'm going to be like, all right, finally, dang. Danny Spears says, I love the way Gigi promos. Her voice is so smooth. I like Gigi. I really do. I mean, I got to ring announce her a couple of times as Priscilla Kelly on Suburban Fight. Very nice girl. Happy to see what she's doing on WWE. And I like the new look that she has as well. Very different from the last time that I saw her. And let's see what else we got here. SD Jones says, finisher was great. Too many short matches on the show, though. This is true, though. We did have a lot of short matches for the most part. And all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on from this. So let's get into this face-off mediated by William Regal for Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. So speaking of in the news, speaking of talk of the town, speaking of a conversation that fans have been having, a major person that's been on the lips of many wrestling fans right now, it is Adam Cole. People have been wondering, is he going to re-sign with WWE? Is this officially his farewell? Is he just going to make sure he puts Kyle O'Reilly over? Is this it? Is he gone after SummerSlam weekend? Is this over? Is he going to re-sign? He had that meeting with Vince McMahon. Did that meeting, we heard that meeting went well. Maybe he will stay. Maybe he'll go to the main roster. I don't know. There's been so many questions, and we just don't have the answers to them right now. However, we got this face-off here, and this match between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole is going to be a 2 out of 3 falls. And William Regal essentially explains that the men, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, will each be picking the stipulation for the first 2 falls, and that he will be picking the stipulation for the 3rd fall. So Kyle O'Reilly starts off by saying, I've been thinking of all of these crazy match stipulations. And, he was thinking about all these weapons and ways in which he can hurt Adam Cole. And then he says, but that loss at the Great American Bash still does not set well with me. So he decides that the first fall is going to be you only win by pinfall or submission. So your typical first fall. All right. Then Adam Cole basically says like, oh, you're so predictable. And he names the second fall a street fight. Cool. Then Adam Cole cuts this like awesome promo, guys. If you did not watch NXT, go out of your way to watch this promo. I do kind of feel bad for Kyle O'Reilly, though, because Adam Cole completely outshined him here, like 100%. Adam Cole just like, man, he really, really blew it out of the water here, okay? I'm not going to do you any justice. Watch this promo from Adam Cole. But just to kind of highlight what he said, he tells them, don't worry about Regal's third fall because I'm going to beat you in the first two falls, be 2-0. He says, I'm going to be the winner of this Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole saga. Then he says, then Kyle O'Reilly says that he's willing to do anything to beat Adam Cole. He tells them, you have not been in the ring with this version of me. But then Adam Cole just goes completely off. And he just basically tells him that for the last 13 years, Kyle O'Reilly has been riding his coattails. He starts to tell him that he's never going to be Adam Cole, that for Adam Cole, he is just a footnote in his career. He tells them that he's soft, that he doesn't have a killer instinct, and he tells them that Cool Kyle is pathetic, says that he's nothing and that he means nothing. And this was such a good delivery. Adam Cole was so like fired up during this. I love this. Then they essentially brawl, and William Regal announces that the third fall is going to be inside a steel cage match. Based on what I'm seeing, either way, this is a goodbye for Adam Cole on NXT. My prediction here, and this feels kind of like a sure thing, is that, well, I can't say sure thing. That's wrong. I shouldn't say sure thing, but it kind of feels that Adam Cole is going to be losing to Kyle O'Reilly. He's going to put Kyle O'Reilly over on NXT, and either we're no longer going to see him on NXT because he's going to the main roster, or we're just not going to see him in WWE, period. Either way, I feel fairly confident that Kyle O'Reilly is going to come out victorious in this match. Again, a lot of this is going to play into the real world stuff and what is going on outside of the ring. Thoughts on this, everybody? Go ahead and send in your thoughts on what do you think about Adam Cole? What do you want to see him? Where do you want to see him go? Do you want to see him leave WWE? Do you think he should stay? Thoughts on that? Send them in. All right, we got a super chat from Razor2910. Thank you so much to Razor, who says, off topic, looking forward to Mondays and not Raw. MDK Salcedo versus Dirt Sheep Muter SRS. Oh my gosh, guys, that video that I posted, my promo, literally the last time I saw it was over 27,000 views. And I was just like, oh my God, I did not know that was going to get so much traction, but it did. But anyways, thank you so much to Razor2910 for sending in this super chat. I really, really appreciate it. We actually got another super chat. This one is from Michael Mathis. Thank you so much to Michael, who says, I'm skeptical about the future, but I must say Triple H made the CWC look like the last place I ever wanted to be. Love NXT though. The CWC, man, I feel bad, but look, even AEW, when they were running out of Daly's place, and that was obviously a way bigger setup than the CWC, but even then, that started to get stale. Like, I mean, look at the fact how much has changed in like the vibe of AEW after they started touring. It just, when you're in the same place over and over and over again, it just doesn't work anymore. Thank you so much to Michael Mathis for sending in this super chat. Thank you so much. And everybody pretty much just pointing out the fact that Adam Cole was just fantastic in this. We have a comment from Lalit Sharma, who says, after this promo, I think people will really want to see Kyle O'Reilly win. And with Cole's contract ending, it makes sense. Pomi says, surprised they didn't add a loser leaves NXT stipulation. That way they could have either sent Cole to the main roster or out of the company. You're kind of right on that. Like, William Regal could have just gone like balls out crazy and just said, loser leaves NXT. Although it wouldn't have made sense for William Regal to impose that stipulation, though. It would have had to be one of the guys it would have had to be Kyle O'Reilly to impose that stipulation. But again, it's like, well, how are they going to work that in there? They really could have. And let's see what else we got here. Sean Harrington says Kyle O'Reilly acting cool while Adam Cole shows how to be cool. Jay Kyle says Cole's promos won't be nearly as fire when the failed sitcom squad scripts them. Huh? Oh, I don't get this one. Oh, you're talking if he goes to the main roster. Sorry, I didn't get the full comment about this one. Anyways, all right, let's see what else we got here, guys. All right, so we got people saying, SG Jones says, I would have loved for them to put a spin on the 3 stages of hell. Kyle could have picked a submission match given how he works. Yeah, that would have been fantastic. I would have actually really liked that as well. And all right, someone's making fun of me because I woke up at 7 a.m. to watch NXT. I did wake up at 7 a.m. to watch NXT. I woke up at 6 and then I started watching NXT at 7 a.m. Guys, this is going to be a crazy day for me because I got so much to do. And then later on, I am going to be back for AEW Dynamite. So I will be back later on tonight in a couple of hours. I will be here again. Anyways, all right, guys, let's jump into the next match here. We got the NXT Breakout tournament continues. The match that I didn't know which direction they were going to go in. And I'm not surprised the direction that they decided to go in, but I am surprised in the match itself. So we had the NXT Breakout tournament, Odyssey Jones versus Trey Baxter. As I mentioned, these were 2 guys that I was like, I don't care who wins. I like both of these guys. I want to see either one of them win this match. However, the match that I did want to see at the end was Carmelo Hayes, Trey Baxter, because I did think that would be a fun match, but we're not going that direction. They had Odyssey Jones win. So now Odyssey Jones is either going to face the winner of Duke Hudson or Carmelo Hayes. I have a feeling that they're going to go with Duke Hudson. I'd rather have Carmelo Hayes because I like Carmelo Hayes and he's been impressive thus far. But I have a feeling they're going to go with Duke Hudson. Duke Hudson seems like the type of guy that they like and that they're going to want to go with. I don't think he's the right option, but it feels like they might want that option. But either way, this ends up being a relatively quick match, guys. Baxter had just hit Odyssey Jones with a spinning heel kick in the jaw, but Odyssey Jones completely overpowered him, and that's how he was able to get this win. The one thing that was surprising to me, again, not the winner, but rather the fact that they didn't give Trey Baxter much of anything during this match. This is supposed to be a breakout tournament. By that, I'm expecting to be wowed by the talents that we're seeing, by the matches that we're seeing. I was not wowed. I was not wowed, to be honest. So I would have liked a little bit of a better match so that even though Trey Baxter didn't win, I would have still liked to have been like, you know what? That was impressive. I'm going to remember that guy. No, they didn't do that in this match. And I do like the fact that they're noticing that Odyssey Jones connects with the audience, and that's why they had him win, I think. So a good call there. All righty, guys. What else do we got here? And let's see what we got here. This one is from Sean Harrington, who says, Carmelo Hayes, I would love to see win. Oh, he'd like to see Hudson win. Wait, sorry. I'm a little confused on your comment here. Sorry, Sean. All right. Send in your thoughts on how you guys feel about this. Either way, we're seeing Odyssey Jones. Heading into the finals. Now we just don't know who it's actually going to be. All right, we're going to move on to a couple of the matches that were announced for next week. So Imperium versus MSK next week for the title. So that should be a really fun match. Oh my God, you guys did not just hear that. I'm talking way too much. Roderick Strong. Sorry, I got way too much air on that. Okay. Don't make fun of me. Roderick Strong versus Kushida for the NXT Cruiserweight Championship next week. Samoa Joe, Karrion Kross face off next week as well. So they are booking a lot for the show. That's going to be the Go Home Show 2 takeover. So we'll probably do predictions then once we got the full entire card finalized. So we'll talk about that then. We got 2 more matches to go over, and everybody's making fun of me right now. God, guys, I just got way too much air. Like I opened my mouth and too much air came out of that. Anyways, wow. Things happen. It's a one-woman show, everybody. I can't rely on anybody else. Oh, no. If WR Central says, oh, Denise, someone should clip that. God, everything happens. Everything has happened to me on live streams, guys. When you're live streaming so many times as much as I do, things are bound to happen, okay? All right. Boa versus Drake Maverick with Mei Ying on his corner. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be very, very nice here, but why the hell do I care about seeing Boa versus Drake Maverick? And that's not an insult to Drake Maverick. It's just the fact that this is Boa's first singles match in 2021. This is only his second match in 2021. The other one was a tag match. He hasn't brought anything to the table. Why should I care? And if it wasn't for Mei Ying spitting that stuff in Drake Maverick's face, I would not have believed that Boa would defeat Drake Maverick. It's not believable. It's just not. I'm sorry. I had zero interest in this. I'm not buying this. I'm not buying that Boa could defeat Drake Maverick on his own. So yeah, the Mei Ying thing was a big deal in this match because that was really the only thing that I could buy from this match. So there you go. Let's see what we got here. Someone says, Steve Beebe says, exactly, please tell us why anyone should care. I was interested in Tian Sha initially, but it's gone for me. There's just, they haven't done anything. Even when he was, there with Xia Li, he didn't bring anything to the table. People were just impressed by Xia Li as Funk Monk V1 says, Mrs. Xia Li. She was the star. She was the one to look at. Boa added nothing, absolutely nothing to this. So there you go. Anyways, let's move on to this main event, ladies and gentlemen, because the main event, Pete Dunne versus Ilja Dragunov. If you did not watch this match, you are not going to be surprised when I say that this match was very good. It was very, very good. We all expected it. Before I get to the details of that, we got a super chat from Stellar Justin Lopez who says, Boa is whack. That's all I'll say. I feel bad for Boa, but if they would have done something with him from the very start, if he would have shown a little personality, a little something at ringside when he was doing nothing, then I would have been like, you know what? Good for Boa. I'm glad he got this match. But I don't understand how I'm expected to care when they've done nothing with him and when he's brought nothing special. I'm sorry. All right. Pete Dunne versus Ilja Dragunov. I'm not sorry about this match, but I am sorry about that finish. I'm not sorry this match happened. I'm sorry about that finish. But anyways, Pete Dunne, Ilja Dragunov, hard-hitting match. We saw a series of clotheslines from Dragunov to Dunne. We saw Dunne bend the wrist of Dragunov. He got him, and then as he's bending his wrist, Dragunov is literally just like diving all these elbows like right into Pete Dunne. That was a very great visual. We saw some killer kicks from Dunne, some killer chops from Dragunov. We see Dunne go for the armbar on Dragunov, but Dragunov is able to get out of it, and then we see multiple knee strikes from Dragunov to Pete Dunne, which looked pretty awesome. So again, very hard-hitting match. Dunne then gets Dragunov in a triangle choke, but Dragunov is able to lift him and powerbomb him onto the mat. He goes for the count, but he ends up getting a 2 count. And then, in typical WWE fashion, Walter's music hits. He comes out. Dragunov is distracted, and I will give them this. They didn't have Dragunov lose right away with a roll-up or an inside cradle or anything, okay? Pete Dunne goes for the bitter end, but instead, Dragunov kicks him. Dunne then hits him with a forearm, and then the bitter ends for the win. So they didn't have the distraction immediately cost him the win, but it did essentially cost him the win, because if it wasn't for that distraction, he probably would have won. Afterwards, him and Walter go at it. And here's the big thing that we need to talk about. I'm sorry, but I do not understand why they had to have Dragunov lose to Pete Dunne heading into this big matchup with Walter. They should not have done that. They should have given him the win. They didn't have to do this distraction. They could have had Walter come out after the match, and they could have done everything that they did. But they didn't have to have him lose this match. I'm sorry, but there you have the reason why people care about this match, the reason why people are looking forward to Walter versus Ilja Dragunov is because if you did not see that match that they first had, you at least heard about it. And then for those that watched it, I mean, it was at least on almost everybody's match of the year picks, because it was a brilliant, a violent match. And so people are excited just based on the fact that they had that match, and we saw what we saw. We liked, okay? So that's not the other thing. The other thing is that you have Walter, who is a legitimate badass, and then you have Dragunov, who is a legitimate badass. So you got two badasses that you can easily say, oh, I'm team Dragunov, I'm team Walter, and you can have a fair argument as to whose side you're on, because these are two legit badasses. But then you have one of them lose to Pete Dunne, and that's not to, take away anything from Pete Dunne. It's just a matter of fact, you don't have him lose when he has this aura of being a badass heading into this match with another badass. It doesn't make sense to have him lose this match. And I'm thinking, okay, they wanted, the people to understand why Walter, why he has now another reason to be mad at Walter, because he costed him this match with Pete Dunne. All right, I get that train of understanding. I get that train of thought, but it's kind of BS. And I was not a fan of Dragunov losing this match. It was a great match. It could have been just very, very simple. Have Dragunov win, have Walter confront him after, have them go at it, bam, end the show. It would have been that easy. Could have been that easy. Brandon Charles Pallison's in a super chat says, I was excited during the main event, and then the finish happened and I yelled, oh, come on, shaking my head. Exactly. They didn't have to do that. They really did not. Thank you so much to Brandon for sending in a super chat, though. And we got plenty of comments on this. We got another super chat from Michael Mathis, who says, NXT UK is the best WWE show these days. I'm not going to lie to you. I do not watch NXT UK. As you guys know, I watch a lot of wrestling. I do not have time to watch everything. But if a match is good and people are talking about it, I go out of my way to watch it. So thank you so much to Michael for sending in this super chat here. And Launchpad42 says, that's a lot of badasses. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, come on. I don't know how else to describe Dragunov and Walter. Really, there is no other way. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh my gosh, we got so many different comments here. Let's see what we got here. Okay, people are just basically saying that they believe that it was dumb to have Ilja Dragunov lose, so we're all pretty much on the same wavelength here. WR Central says having a challenger lose before their title match is ridiculous. Shouldn't Dunne be getting the match now? No, I don't even know anymore, guys. I don't know. I do not believe that it was the right call. All right. Do not believe it was the right call. And someone wants to know if I'm attending New Japan Resurgence. It is in Los Angeles. However, I am not attending the show because I'm going to watch Triple Mania, because there are stuff that I want to see on that show a little bit more than the New Japan show. So I am looking forward to Triple Mania, and I will be watching and covering that. So I will be doing that. And you guys can find out the details on my Twitter about the times and all of that. Alrighty, guys, there you go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my NXT post show. Again, this was a very good show overall, a big improvement on last week. It could have been an almost super awesome show without that finish, but for the most part, it was a good show. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to come back later tonight. So in just really a couple of hours, I will be back here to talk about AEW Dynamite. A lot is going on there. So if you enjoyed this live stream, I hope that you guys come back tonight. Also, I will be back after tonight. I will be back again on Friday to talk about Smackdown and the world premiere of AEW Rampage. And that's going to be pretty fun to talk about, because we're going to get our first glimpse as to what Rampage is all about, how AEW is going to present Rampage, how it's going to be different to Dynamite, how it's going to be similar to Dynamite. We'll find out. There's going to be plenty to talk about then. So much coming up. We got one more super chat, and then I'm going to go ahead and close out the show. This one's from Adam Pearson. He says, have some money, you legend. Thank you so much, Adam Pearson. You are awesome. I really appreciate it. Bye, everyone. I will see you in just a couple of hours for Dynamite. Bye, everyone.